This is Numbers with Nicole, and we're going to do a lesson on finding the volume of cones. What is a cone? A 3D object that has a circular base. So the base has to be a circle, and there is only one base. Pardon my terrible circle there. So here's our circular base, and it has to be joined to a point. Okay, so here's our point, which we call a vertex. You might also see it being called an apex. So this is where the smooth side of the cone meets that point. So it connects the base, which is a circle, to the point up at the top. Okay, so the side is curved. Right, so what are things that are modeled by a cone? Party hat, a traffic cone, ice cream cone, megaphone, if they even use those anymore. Anything that has a circular base and then meets at a common point connecting to that circular base. So what is the volume of a cone formula? That's going to be 1/3 times pi times r squared times h, where r is your radius, which is a segment from the center to one point on the edge of the circle. And we know we can draw many of those within the circle. And the height has to be perpendicular to that base. So h represents height. So we have r squared raised to the second power, not times 2, times h, the perpendicular height. All right, so we're going to find the volume of the cone. So our formula is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. And now we're going to look at this cone and see what we have here. Our height of the cone is 18. Our distance from the center to the edge of the circle, which is a radius, is 7. And we're going to replace that in our formula. V equals 1/3 times pi, 7 squared, times 18. So I'm going to represent two answers here, because previously, since we know we have pi, which is irrational, so we know that we can represent this volume as exact, or we can represent this volume as rounded. So remember, if it's exact, that means we're not going to push the pi button in the calculation. So all we would do in our calculation is the 1/3, 7 squared, and the 18. So 1 divided by 3 times 7 squared times 18. So we get V equals 294. Now look at my calculator. I did not press pi in that calculation. So the exact answer would have to have a pi symbol in it because I didn't press pi. If I push pi, that number becomes irrational, meaning it's going to continue on, and we would have to round it. So if I want the rounded answer, V equals times that answer by pi. And now I need to round that, and we can round that to anywhere. So let's round it to the nearest tenth. So 923.6 cubed units. So we have an exact answer and we have a rounded answer. So we'll do two more models, one with each. So find the rounded volume of the cone, pause the video here, try it on your own, and then check the answer when you're done. So V equals 1/3 times pi r squared h, which is our formula. Here I have a distance from the center, from one edge of the circle to the end, passing through the center. So that's a diameter of 8, meaning we're going to have a radius of half of 8, which is 4. And our perpendicular height here is 9. So those are the values we're going to substitute into the formula. 1/3 pi times r, our radius, which is 4, times our height, which is 9. And since this is rounded, I'm just going to type that all into my calculator together, times pi, times 4 squared, times 9. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth here. So V equals 150.8. And if we were to put units, that would be feet cubed. So 150.8 feet cubed for the volume of the cone. For our last example here, we're going to find the exact volume, which means our answer should have a pi in it. And I don't know why this says this, because we're going to say exact. So let's just get rid of that there. Find the volume. Find the exact volume of the cone. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So let's look at our cone here. I have a dimension that goes from one edge of this cone to the other, meaning this is a diameter of 2. I need a radius for my formula, which is v equals 1/3 pi r squared times h. So our radius is 1, and our perpendicular height, h, is 6. So since we're going to find the exact, we're not going to push pi in our calculation. That's just going to be part of our answer. I'm going to move it over here. So our r squared is 1 squared. Our h is 6. And remember, pi is not going to be pressed because we want the exact. So v equals 1/3 times 1 squared, which is 1, times 6. And that's going to be 2 pi inches cubed.